Is it okay if I ask you, given you've negotiated contracts for 10 plus years, written them, have really solidified some great deals for your companies, what would you say are the top negotiation tactics that you've seen be super successful with, the best contracts that you've negotiated where it worked out really well for both sides and even maybe more for the company that you're working for?
I mean, it's always key to really hone in and listen in on, what your partner is seeking and looking for. And I think that's something that, I try to do first, whenever it's a contract negotiation, listening on what they're looking to get accomplished. And then on my side of that, on our side, making sure that what we're looking to get accomplished can be met, but trying to really balance out the middle ground to where, and this is difficult, to where both sides feel like they win. But usually that kind of starts with um giving more up first and being able to scale that back, so that way you're giving up way more than you would actually expect. And if you end up meeting there, then great. But if not, then you kind of get to the point where you feel comfortable with. And so that's kind of what I would say for the most part. But it's never to be. I'm not the negotiator where it's pushy. It's more so of a consultative, um reasonable approach is kind of, what I would say.
Okay, because this is really important for a lot of different fields. And just when you said, that great middle ground, giving more.
If you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button. I will be posting a video every week to help you with your career and also land a great opportunity.
Can you give me an example where you were giving more, your side was giving more, and then you scaled it back and they still felt like, hey, this is still a good middle ground?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, we have a partner that we deal with called Rico Foods, to where we have contracts with them that are volume based, meaning that, if there's a certain lane that we're supposed to get, let's say this one lane is supposed to provide us 2,500 loads for that one lane. Well, the contract that we would submit would be something where, if we submit the contract the way that the partner is asking for, then maybe we're able to get um 1,200 of those lanes, half of those lanes, if we're submitting it the way the customer is asking us to do it. But obviously that leaves another 1,300 of those lanes. Now, something we can do is, there are certain fees that go with some of these lanes. If somebody gets to a certain facility and they're waiting too long, or it takes too long to unload, there are these accessorial fees that can be charged to the partner. So instead of the partner being charged with accessorial fees, something that we can provide is, and say, hey, look, we'll absorb those fees if you can provide us more of the volume of those lanes. And so if there's a third party contractor that we hire that we have to pay those fees to, then our partner would then take that into account, and instead of giving us 1,200 lanes, they would give us the additional 1,300. So that way we would absorb the fees, but we make the difference in the profit that we make because of the additional lanes that we're being provided by the partner. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're giving more value, but there's a commitment on the other side that, hey, you're giving more value, so okay, we're going to give you more, basically more business, because you're providing us more value anyway. We'd rather go with you now because you're making our lives easier type
Correct.
of. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This is good to know. It could apply to recruiting business, coaching, and so many different industries. So it's good to really understand like what makes a really good negotiation. The one part where you said, hey, like listening, you said that was the first part. What if a party comes in and they're just like, hey, just tell me what it is. Like, I don't have time to explain everything to you. Or they're just being not as open, or it's hard to even listen to them because maybe they're just getting sidetracked with something that they're saying. Like it's hard to listen. Do you have situations where it's kind of like you want to listen, but it's so hard and we're never going to get anywhere?
I mean, I think two just kind of hearing that off the top of my head, I think two things would play as a factor there. Two variables would be is, how influential is the partner? Like how big are they? Because sometimes that trumps everything. No pun intended. But for example, if it's someone like a ConAgra, like that huge food company, there's some times where it's kind of their way or no way because of the size of the organization. And at that point, you have to stick to your guns of the negotiation, but there isn't really much movement. But if it's someone that's on a smaller scale, like the company that I mentioned, or just someone that is just not a big wig in the industry, and if they just want it their way, then you do listen and you provide a suggestion of what can work, and at that point you wait to hear if there's any feedback, and if they don't move, then there's no deal.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, because I feel like I see this sometimes too, there's a huge organization, let's say it's a Fortune 500. Well, they have a structured process. They don't go past this. It's like, there's no flexibility. Is that what you're trying to say? Like some organizations, when they're they're larger and they have so many different procedures in place that they're not as flexible, and negotiating might be very limited, versus maybe a growth organization where they see a little bit more value and they're really looking for the right partner. Is that kind of what I'm hearing, that a large organization, you just might be capped at the negotiation just inherently, because of the type of environment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Essentially what I'm saying.
If you're tired of getting rejected by employers and ready to land your next great opportunity faster, I've put together a free guide that walks you through the exact steps you need to take to land that job faster, for you to be identified as that best candidate. Comment guide, and I will send you a direct link to grab it.
Just one last question. Was there a deal or contract that you've done where you felt, hey, this isn't probably going to work, but then you turned it around somehow and you used your expertise to kind of make it that balance of everyone's winning in the contract? Can you recall a time where you turned it around into a favorable outcome versus, hey, initially it seemed like nothing was going to happen?
You know what? To be honest with you, I can't. And it's because my organization is very expensive. And so if something is not going to work, the CEO is just going to say, Rose, we just can't move forward with this. Like, it's either like, from my standpoint, I always want to take everything. But from the organization standpoint, it's like, we have to be not just profitable, extremely profitable. So if something's not going to work, and the different parties look at it and say it's not going to work, then we don't even move forward with the conversations.
Rather just, hey, let's move on to the next potential client, versus wasting time and energy on someone who might not even see the value. Is that kind of what you're saying too?
Correct. That's correct. That's 100% what it is.